pleats. As you can see right there on the thumbnail, you can see the pleated back. It really has some good pleats to it, as you can see right there. So please stay tuned to the end of this. So to start off this tutorial, I'll be using my hip measurement. My hip measurement is 48.5. That is what I'm working on, okay? 48.5. So for the front hip measurement, I'm going to take away minus 1.5. So this 1.5 is for the boot space or boot allowance for the back. Okay, so if I take away 48.5 from 1.5, I'll be working with 47 inches hip for the front. Then at the back, we'll be adding this 1.5 back for the boot allowance. So now working with 47 inches present hip, divide by 4. If I do that, I'll have 11.75. So I'm going to fold my fabric for the front, because you are going to start the cutting from the front. So here I'll put my fabric together this way. For the front, there's going to be a front fold. Okay, after placing it on fold, now this is my center front. I'm going to create I'm creating the waist, that is the waistline. So I'm going to have a band of 1.5. So you can see I place my tape above of 1.5. So the first thing I'm going to measure from there is my hip allowance. So the hip allowance I'm working with right here. Note that we are going to join. The band is 1.5 and there's going to be a joining. So I'll start from this 1.5. I'm going to add, the hip height is 9 inches. So I'll make it 9.5. Okay, and the knee line is 18 inches. Okay, I'll make it 18.5. So whatever your knee is, okay, the knee circumference, that is the knee height is, sorry, my knee height is 21. That's from my waist to the knee is 21 inches. I'll count 1 2 3. That's how I got the 18. So if your knee height is 20, just count 1 2 3. It will fall at 17. So here I have 18. I added ½ inch to stitch the band. Okay, don't get yourself confused. So I'm going to take the height of this. So the length of this skirt is 41. I'm going to add 41.5 for it after stitching the band of ½ inch. Then I'll add 1 inch for hemming to hem the other part. So I have 42.5. So I believe you understand what I just did here. So I'll simply go ahead and do what? Rule these strategic lines. I just go ahead and rule them. So after that, I'm going to impute the waist circumference. The waist measurement circumference for my waist is 40. 40 divided by 4 is 10 inches. So you can see I've already marked my 10 inches. So I'm going to impute 1 inch for my dart. And this is the 1 inch here. From here to here, 1 inch, I'm going to sew my dart. And I'm going to impute 1.5 for my seam allowance. So my seam allowance is 1.5. I'll come over to the hip. So note that our hip 47, after taking away 1.5 inch from the hip, so I got 11.75. When I divide 47 by 4, this is 11.75 or 11.75. This is the mark, and I'm going to add 1.5 inch. So everything falls at where I have this the end of this folding. So 1.5 inch, that's what we are using for our seam allowance. So whatever you have from here to here, here I have 13.5. Take away 1.5 from it. This is 13.5. This is 1.5. So on my knee line, I'm going to measure 12 inches on my knee line. Okay, I'm supposed to rule the knee line. So please make sure you highlight the knee line. So I'm highlighting the knee line, as you can see. So here on the knee line, I'm going to measure 12 inches. So everything is included with the seam allowance. So this is the 12 inches, and I'm going to make a mark. So after that, I'm going to connect everything I have right here from that from here. You place your tape, your pattern ruler this way and connect. So you can see with the pattern ruler, it automatically gives you the hip shape. Can you see? The whole thing, once you place it, it balances, touches this line, touches this, and this automatically. That's the essence of this hip curve. So now, what we had here, which is that 12, I'll take it to the hem of the dress and I'll mark 12 again. So this is the 12. I'm going to mark it, and then I use a straight ruler from that point and connect it straight. Can you see? So I'll cut from the hem. So you have to make sure your seam allowances you have imputed all the seam allowances accordingly before you cut. So once I get to the hip line, I'm going to go up like this and take it back to the waist line. So this is what we have. So now I want to explain how I created this dart. Okay, so after cutting out, this is my center front. I made use of my nipple to nipple measurement. My nipple to nipple measurement is 7. Okay, divide by 2 gave me 3.5. So I have to place my 3.5 on the center front. Then I added ½ an inch, making it 4 inches. Okay, so whatever your nipple to nipple measurement is, divide by 2, then add 0.5. This is how I got this notch. And at this point of the notch, I have to create my dart leg. So this is my dart leg. So the length of my dart for the front is 5 inches, but I added ½ an inch, making it 5.5, because I need to stitch 0.5 in front. Then from this notch, I came out by 0.5, 0.5, which is the total 1 inch we took as our dart leg. Then I connected my 0.5 to nothing and 0.5 to nothing. So the same thing I did here, that is what I did here also. So when you are creating this dart, ensure you create it at the wrong side, not at the right side. This is the right side, because when we are sewing this, we are going to pick it from the wrong side to sew. So please take note of that. All right, so now we want to cut out the back. It's time for us to start off the cutting of the back. Okay, so in cutting of the back, the first thing you do is to place your fabric on fold. You can see I have it on fold towards the center front. I folded it. Then I ensure that the distance I have for the pleat from here to the folded part is 13 inches. So this is the center front, and we are going to create our zipper line. So the first thing I'm going to do is to extend the hip line. Remember that for the hip we removed 1.5. So that 1.5 we removed on the hip line, we are going to add it back like I said. So I will extend the boot allowance right here. So once I've extended the boot allowance, the butt allowance, I will divide the 1.5 by 2 for my butt allowance. So 1.5 divided by 2 will give me 0.75. So, or 3/4. So I'm going to mark out the 3/4. So this 3/4 I marked out now. I'm going to connect it with my hip curve. So 3/4 here times 2. You know we have 2 pieces here for the zipper allowance. So that will give us the 1.5, which we removed initially and we have added it back. So here I connect it and I connect it back. So that's why I like to work with my hip curve. So once you place it, it will touch the points systematically. So you can see, just follow the hip curve and connect it back to where we have the length. All right, so we've added that 1.5 back and everything balances nice and flat. So on this line I'll start to add my 1.5 seam allowance for zipper allowance. So I'm going to add 1.5 for zipper allowance like this. I'll take it, you can see how I'm taking the shape of the butt allowance. So once I get to this point, I'm going to extend this line too, and that line is going to serve as the part for our pleated details. So I'll just come back and do what, and place this. You can see once you place it, it takes automatically the shape. So if you have a hip curve nice and fine, it will give you exactly what you are looking for. All right, so next after getting this is to cut out the shape and the excess. So I'm going to cut out what I have right here. So we are cutting it exactly on the shape because we've added our side seam allowance for the front, which will also reflect at the back. So you can see this is actually very easy. Once you have cut out the front, it will be very easy for you to go about the back. So all right, so now coming over to here, I'll just go by the side the seam allowance. Once I get to the pleated detail, I'll go ahead and do what, cut it out at that point directly to the part I have on fold. Okay, so this is what you will have at the end of the day, to the part on fold. All right, so now the next thing you do is to place the notch for the back dart. So don't forget to place the notch for the back dart. So for the back dart, like I earlier said, it's still going to be longer. It's going to be longer than the front dart. So once you have created the notch, just go ahead and mark and measure again. So the measurement of my dart is 6 inches for the back, but I'll do 6.5. Then I'm going to add half an inch. So you can see I'm creating it at the wrong side. This is the wrong side of this dress. So I'm going to connect my dart from that 5 inch to nothing, from that 5 inch to nothing. So I'll still repeat the same at the back. Then I'll cut the lining exactly the same and place my notches. So here I've already cut out my lining, so you can use any lining of your choice. So all I did is to make sure I cut out the back lining equally with what I have in the front. So I'll come over to the dart. I'll also create my notch. So by the time I get to the machine, I'll be able to sew my dart accordingly. So now I'll go over to the machine to sew this, the back dart and the lining dart. All the darts will be sewn. Then I'll come back to show you how to sew the pleated detail parts. Okay, now for the front, I'll also cut out the lining. So I'm using a doll face satin fabric lining. You can use any lining of your choice. So I'll place this and cut, then sew the darts and come back. Cut out the lining for the front. Okay, so the next thing I'll do is to also create my notch for the darts, like I did for the back. Then I want to talk about the length. So this is what I did for the back. I first cut them the same length. Then I took off 1 inch only 1 inch. So that's what I'm going to cut off now. So when you are cutting it off, just be sure. So now you can see I've cut it out. So the lining has to be shorter by 1 inch. Okay, so I'll go over to sew the darts for back and front, and then I'll be back. All right, so now I'm done sewing the darts. You can see that I stitched the dart for front and back, all for the back and the lining. So I've placed it. I'm going to place it now. You can see I'm going to place it to stitch. So this part now, I'm going to stitch it close. So I'll arrange it properly and stitch. I'll bring it closer, stitch this 4 corner side. I'm going to stitch the side to the end. I'm going to stitch the hem. So I'll stitch everything now, bring it back to show you what next to do. Alright, so for the back, I'm done sewing all the edges. As you can see, this is the pleated part. I've sewn everything. I've sewn the sides and I sew the hem. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to place a notch on this 4 corner edge. I'll just place a notch, but be careful you don't cut out the seam lines. I'm placing this notch so it will be easy for us to cut, to turn and iron. Okay, so be careful with the stitching line there. So I'll just make a little notch very close, but be careful. So once you have done that, we'll be turning everything from here. Can you see? So I'm going to turn everything. I'll turn it, and then I'll go over to the ironing table now to give it a good press at the edges. Alright, so now I'm done. So this is what we have at the end of the day. So you can see I used 0.5 inch to turn everything, and I've given it a good press. So I'm going to pick it up and fold it into 2 equal folds. So I'll make sure this point, I match it to this to have equal folds. So I'll just arrange them now, secure with my pin, then we'll begin to pleat. Alright, so after placing it on 2 equal folds and I have secured with my pin, so I'll go ahead to mark out my zip allowance. So remember, our zip will start from the band. So I'll just mark from that 1.5. From this point at 8 inches, that's where my zip will start. So I'll just mark my 1 inch. Remember, I stitched with 0.5, so we added 1.5. So if you stitch 0.5, what will be left will be 1 inch. So I'll just simply go ahead and connect. I'll connect from that point, from here to here. Okay, then the next I will do is to measure what I have. I actually need about 4 pleats right here. So from here to here, I'll measure. I have 12 inches. So these 12 inches I have, I'll come over from here to measure the 12 inches and mark 12 inches, 12 inches. Okay, so I will follow this line to join the 12 inches. Okay, so from that I will now measure my 1 inch, 1 inch, like that. Okay, I'll just go ahead and connect the 1 inch down to the hem. So I'll go over to the machine now. I'll stitch from here to the end. Let me do the ironing, and this is what I have at the end of the day. So right now I'm going to, from this edge, I'm going to take the measurement of what I have from the folded edge, where we are going to have our pleats. I'll measure from here now, from this edge to the point of my stitching line. Okay, I have to stitch to the end like I marked. So here I have 13 inches and I need 4 pleats. So I'll divide 13 by 4. If I divide 13 by 4, I have 3.25. So I'm going to mark 3.25, 3.25, 3.25. That is 3 1/4, 3 1/4. And what I have, so I've divided the 3.25 all over. So I'm going to mark a straight line to the end. That is what I'm going to follow to stitch now. So the spacing here is 3.25, so they are equal, and I'll also have more pleats to it. Okay, so, and this one I've already stitched it. So here I have 4 columns, 1 2 3 4 for my pleats. So I'll go to the machine, run my loose stitches to the end, then we'll begin to pleat. So right here I've already run my loose stitches. Okay, you can see I've run it. So the first thing we are going to do is to open up. Can you see? And then we have to go ahead and iron. So once you have opened, you iron the seam line this way. Okay, that is the zipper line. So once the zipper line, I'm going to pick up this column first, this and this first. You can see, you just open it up and make sure this line matches with this line this way. Okay, so I just arrange it appropriately. Make sure it's at the center. So once you get it at the center like that, okay, you just take your time, get it at the center like this. So I'm making sure I have everything at the center, so the pleats will be even. So you can see my stitches are at the center line. So now I'll iron this part like this to the end. Also, you can see I still have the pleats at this point. This side I'll also iron. Can you see? So you turn the other side and iron, and turn the other side and iron. So once you have achieved that, still at the center, then we'll pick up the second column. So this is the second column. I'll still open it up gently and ensure I distribute it to have it at the center too. So I'll just distribute it. So you can see I'm taking my time to do this. So once you have it at that center, can you see? Then you go ahead and iron too. You go ahead and iron that part. Lift this part. Okay, this part. So I'm trying to make sure I have it at the center. So you lift this part too, so you can see we have the pleats, and you also iron. So once you have gotten that, you can see 2 pleats this here at the center, 2 pleats here at the center. Then I'll come over to the third column. I'll place it at the center too, this way. Can you see? So I will also do the same at the down part. Make sure I position it. So once I position it, I've gotten the third pleat. Then I'll iron. So this is the main purpose of the sewing of this skirt. I'll also pick it up this way and make sure you have the 3 pleats on this side and iron at the center. So as you're ironing, you can see this is first, second and third for the 3 pleats, and this is first, second and third. So you make sure you have it like this. Then finally we'll now pick up the center line, this folded part, and do what? Place it finally at the center like this. So it depends on how many pleats you want to make, from 3 upwards. So me, I made 4 pleats. Okay, so I'm going to give it a good press. So now you can see I have 1 2 3 and 4. So I'll go over to my machine now. I'm going to stitch a straight stitch now. Let me do that. So now I'm done stitching at this point. So the next thing I'll do is to open up the pleats. Okay, so I'll just open everything. So I have loose stitches here. I might also decide to use my, just lose it with my blade. So but the point is it has to be loose. Okay, so I'll just take my time and open up all the stitches. So that is what the pleat looks like at the end of the day. So by the time I've removed my stitches, I have all my pleats in place. Can you see that? So I have 4 of them. I really want it much, that's why I have to go by adding 13 inches. So but if you want it less, you can do 10 inches. Okay, so but I just want it, you know, to be that prominent as it is right here. Okay, all right people, so now the next we'll start to do is to match up what we have on the front. So I'll come with my front now. This is my front. I turned it the same way I did for the back. So I'll go ahead and place it right side to right side. Then I'm going to sew 1 inch because I've taken half an inch in to sew this part. So I'll sew 1 inch down, 1 inch down. So let me do that. So I'm done sewing the sides and I've opened it up and given it a good press. Can you see? So now we are going to attach the band. So if you want, you can create a tummy drop for it. That is, so if you are creating the tummy drop, you have to get the center front and match it up with the sides. You can see how I open the sides. I'll match it up this way. So once I've done that, I've gotten the center front. So on the center front area, I'll come down by 1 inch. I'll place my pattern ruler from there to match with what I have here. Okay, so I'll just trim it off. So that will be my tummy drop. So I'm just trying to check something. Okay, so if you want the tummy drop, we'll do that. So I've already taken it off. So let me just cut it out. So you can go 1.5 or 1 inch. So I'll just go this way to create that tummy drop, so that it balances well on your tummy. So now this is what you have when you open up the dress. So we are going to take what we have here all around for the band. Okay, so here I have, so if you are taking it, just spread out here so you'll be able to, from the end we want to create the band. So I just go ahead and take the measurements of what I have to the tummy drop. I'll go this way. I keep sewing, I'll keep measuring. So here I have 42.5. So my band, I've already measured my band and it also length of 42.5 from here to here. So the width of my band, I have to fold in 0.5. I ironed in 0.5. So if I spread it open, I'll be having 2 inches. Okay, so once I fold in, the width becomes 1.5, which is the actual width. So now I'll go over to the machine. I'm going to start from the zipper part to sew. So you can see the zipper part. So I'm going to sew it this way. This is the wrong side. I'll bring in right side to wrong side like this. I'll open up here and stitch 0.5 all around. Let me do that. My band looks like, so you can see the tummy drop is showing on the band as well. So we are done. So thank you for coming to this tutorial, and I believe this class was helpful to you. So if you are new to this channel, please kindly subscribe, turn on your notification bell to receive videos like this every day. Like this video, Share to family and friends. Drop your comment on the comment section and your suggestions as well. Thank you once again. See you in the next class. Bye.